Good morning, my students and listeners at home. Welcome to Teaching Online from St. Charles College, Onitsha. My name is Mrs. Uju from Business Studies Department. Our subject today is Business Studies, and our topic is the role of wages and salaries unit. Before we go into details, let's look at specific objectives. By the end of the lesson, the students are expected to, number 1, define wage and salary. 2, state the differences between wages and salaries. 3, mention and explain the methods of wage payment. 4, define voucher. And 5, mention and explain the two types of voucher vividly. The lesson in details. We are going to start with the meaning of wage. What then is wage? Wage can be referred to the payment made to workers in return for their labor towards production of goods and services on a daily or weekly basis. This means that any worker that received a payment after rendering a service within a day or a week, such payment is called a wage. For instance, an engineer that repairs your computer or your television at the end of a day or within a week, payment is made to him. Such payment is called wage. Is that clear? Good. Let's look at the meaning of salary. Salary is the payment made to workers in return for their labor towards production of goods and services on a monthly basis. This means that any worker that received payment at the end of every month, such payment is called salary. For example, the civil servants, those that are working in any organization, they are the ones that normally receive their payment at the end of every month. That their payment is called salary. But know this, both wages and salaries are reward for labor. And it is the duty of the accounts department in any organization to prepare and pay the wages and salaries of the employees. They also keep good accounting record of all the money they paid out of the organization. Not only that, they equally use document that is called voucher as an evidence of those payments they made. Let's look at the differences between wage and salary. Number 1, wage is payment made to casual workers, while salary is payment made to permanent workers. Permanent workers are those that work at the end of every month, they receive their payment, while casual workers are those that receive their payment at the end of a day or a week. Number 2, wage is not fixed, while salary is fixed. Salary is fixed in the sense that a certain amount of money will be paid to the workers at the end of every month. Where in terms of wage earners, it is not like that. It depends on the work he or she renders that the payment will be made to him or her. Number 3, wage is paid usually on hourly, daily, or weekly basis, while salary is paid at the end of the month. Number 4, wage is not taxed, while salary is taxed. Salary is taxed because before payment will be made to the workers, a certain amount of money will be deducted from their salary, where in terms of wage earners, it is not like that. Number 4, wage is paid based on output, where salary is not paid based on output. Let's look at the methods of wage payment. There are 4 methods of wage payment. They include number 1, time rate, 2, piece rate, 3, flat or standard rate, and 4, profit sharing method. Let's take them one after the other. We are going to start with the time rate. Time rate is the method of wage payment which is based on the time factor. This means the wage is paid according to the period the work lasted. If the work lasted hourly, daily, or weekly, the payment will be paid accordingly. Number 2, piece rate. This is the method in which wage payment is paid based on the quantity of product the worker is able to produce. If the worker is able to produce high quantity of product, his payment will be high. But if he is able to produce small quantity of product, his payment will be equally below. Number 3, flat or standard rate. This is the method in which all the workers are paid equally, not minding who produces more or less. In this particular method, every worker will be paid equal amount of money, not minding who is stronger or the strongest and who is the weakest among them. All right. Number 4, profit sharing method. This is the method in which the workers share among themselves the gain they made through the goods and services they render. For instance, if 10 workers are employed to sell bars of pure water, at the end of a day, their payment should depend on the gain they made, not on the cost of the goods they sold. Let's look at the preparation of voucher, and we're going to start with the meaning of voucher. Voucher is a document used by the accounts department to show the money paid out from its fund. It also shows the money spent on a particular project. It is a document that accounts department use as an evidence that they made a certain payment to any of the worker. Maybe a worker wants to carry out a particular project on behalf of the organization. If accounts department made such payments to the worker, voucher will equally be issued to him because it is their evidence that such worker received that particular amount of money. Is that clear? Good. Let's look at the types of voucher. There are 2 types of voucher, namely salary voucher and payment voucher. All right, we are going to start with the first one, which is salary voucher. Salary voucher is a document containing the names of all the staff in the organization. It is also called wage sheet or payroll. It shows what is to be paid to each employee. This means that every organization has these documents that is called salary voucher. It is a document that contains the names of all the workers in the organization and their payments. There are some certain details you can see in the salary voucher. Number one, basic pay, gross pay, net pay, pay as you earn, we normally call it payee, employee's number, or you can equally call it file number, employee's name, salary grade level, allowances, income tax, and signature. This is an example of salary voucher. If you look at it, you will see all these details I mentioned. You can see the employee's name. You can equally see the department, the total amount of money he or she is supposed to receive. You can equally basic pay, and so on and so forth. Let's take these details one after the other. Number one is basic pay. Basic pay is the monthly salary of the workers before any allowances or deductions. This means that any workers that is working in an organization has a particular payment that will be made to his or her level. There are those that are with WAEC certificate. There are those that are with degree, masters, and so on and so forth. And each level has its payment. And that particular payment he or she is entitled to is what we call basic pay, before any allowances or deduction will be made to his payment. Number two is what we call gross pay. It is the basic pay of the workers plus the allowances to his pay. That means the particular payment the worker is entitled to plus all the allowances that will be added to it. Allowances like clothing allowances, hospital allowances, and so on and so forth. This is what we call gross pay. The third one is net pay. It is the amount the worker received after making the necessary deductions. This is gross pay minus some certain amount of money. In every worker's salary, there must be a deduction. It must be tax, it must be surcharge of any offense, it must be insurance money, and so on and so forth. All this will be deducted. And when it is deducted, the remaining amount of money that will be paid to the worker, that is what we call net pay. Hope you understand. Good. Payee, which is pay as you earn. This is in form of tax, money that is being removed from the salary before the main payment will be made to the worker. Income tax, it is payment made by every worker to the government. Every worker that receives their payment at the end of every month, they normally pay this tax. It must be deducted from their salary before payment will be made to them. All right. Let's look at what is advice, or we call it pay slip. It is a document that shows the details of monthly pay of an individual workers in an organization. It is in form of salary voucher. But the difference is that salary voucher contains the names of all the staff in the organization, where advice contains the name of an individual worker in an organization, and equally his payment or monthly pay. Is that clear? Good. Let's go to the second type of voucher, which is payment voucher. Payment voucher is also a document used to cover expenses made by the employee on behalf of the organization. Payment voucher is given to the recipient of money by the accounts department as an evidence that he or she received such amount stated in the voucher from their department. All payments or expenditure made by the accounts department is covered by payment voucher. Example of such expenses are expenses on goods the employee bought for the organization, traveling expenses. Maybe an employee will be traveled on behalf of the organization to represent the organization on a particular orientation camp or workshop. He has to collect some certain amount from the organization. Another one is that maybe an employee wants to repair a furniture in the organization. All these expenses he or she made will be covered up with the payment voucher. This is an example of payment voucher. If you look at it, you will see the sum of money that the employees or worker collected from the accounts department. You will see the need or the purpose of such payment or expenses, equally who paid him in the accounts department, and equally the receiver and the signature. We have come to the end of this lesson, but before we call it a day, let's use these questions to evaluate ourselves. Number 1, define wage and salary. 2, which department that handles wage and salaries in the organization? 3, state 4 differences between wages and salaries. Number 4, mention 4 methods of wage payment and explain any 2. 5, what is voucher? Mention 2 types of voucher. Number 6, explain the following: payee, gross pay, net pay, income tax. And number 7, another name for salary voucher is what? Thank you very much, my listeners. And if there is any inquiry, contact me on my WhatsApp number 08037273215. Stay blessed and God bless you.